God of light, light of light, true God of true God, we bless you. God of new beginnings, hope of hope, as we reach for this new year, we bless you. God of joy, delight of delight, as we give thanks for all that is good, we bless you.
Infant holy, infant lowly, for his bed a cattle stall, oxen lowing, little knowing, Christ the babe is Lord of all. Swift are winging, angels singing, Noel's ringing, tidings bringing, Christ the babe is Lord of all. Christ the babe is Lord of all. Flocks were sleeping, shepherds keeping vigil till the morning new. Saw the glory, heard the story, tidings of a gospel true. Thus rejoicing, free from sorrow, praises voicing, greet the morrow. Christ the babe was born for you. Christ the babe was born for you. High above us, God who loves us sends his Son to save us all. Stature growing, wisdom knowing, full obedience to his call. Born in weakness, wondrous mystery, God eternal enters history. Christ the King is Lord of all. Christ the King is Lord of all. Born in weakness, wondrous mystery, God eternal enters history. Christ the King is Lord of all. Christ the King is Lord of all.
Hi everybody. These have been the most trying times, not least over Christmas and into the new year. And so, as moderator, I have simply sought to assist and support ministers and congregations, all those who are responsible for leading worship, to support in providing some material and perhaps in so doing to allow a break for those who have been hard at it for month after month. So welcome to this morning's worship. I know we're now well into January, but we're travelling forward in the light that the Christ child sheds. So therefore, some of our worship today will still have that Christmas feel to it. Is that such a bad thing? To continue to rejoice in the coming of Jesus. Welcome to worship.
Let us pray. Lord of hope, we give you thanks for a new day. We arise today to a horizon guiding our eye beyond the everyday, to a dawn gently lighting up the wonders of your creation, to a whispered dew rooting us firmly to this precious earth. For this and more, we thank you. Lord of hope, we give you thanks for a new year. We arise today to the knowledge that your Son, our Lord, goes before us, to the hope that through his presence all people will be transformed, to the promise of salvation for all. For this and more, we thank you. Lord of hope, we give you thanks for a new start. We arise today, turning our backs on the ways of judgment and criticism, sloughing off narrow-minded assumptions, reaching out to enemy and friend with generous, compassionate hearts. For the promise of a new start, a new year, a new day. For these gifts and for so much more, we thank you. Amen.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. The light was called day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day.
And God said, "Let there be light." When my first child, Mary, was a few months old, as a modern father, I'd learned how to share the bathing and burping and feeding and dressing for the baby. Best of all, I'd become a dab hand at nappy changing. These were the days of terry nappies, of course, and one evening I was changing Mary's nappy on the bed in the spare room. She was gurgling and gooing and grinning as babies do, and with the jerky, uncoordinated actions of a child, was moving her hands in front of her face. I thought it was random at first, the spasmodic twitching of limbs we've all seen with babies, but then I realised there was a pattern to it. There was a light in the centre of the room, and this wee baby was recognising the light above her. She was finding out for the first time what was shining up there, and if she moved her hands across it, she could make the light come and go. Right in front of my eyes, a child was learning to recognise the light. The 19th century Scottish minister Horatius Bonar was a prolific writer of poetry and hymns. He too knew a light above him, and in a profoundly spiritual form. Perhaps with his Bible open in front of him at the first chapter of the book of Genesis, he wrote these words: "Light of the world, forever ever shining, there is no change in thee. True light of life, all joy and health enshrining, thou canst not fade nor flee. Let there be light," God said. Bonar had appreciated that light, forever ever shining. He had found a light that would not change, a light of life that would bring him joy and fullness. Horatius Bonar had recognised the light above him. To you and me, different people in changed circumstances, but with the same purpose, God says again, "Let there be light." There it is. It's still shining. My light will not change. So today, in our jerky, uncoordinated way, let's stretch out our hands and look up at it again. And with the wondrous discovery of a little child and a man of faith, give thanks for our light that will not fade nor flee. Light of the world, undimming and unsetting, oh, shine each mist away. Banish the fear, the falsehood, and the fretting. Be our unchanging day.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above. Join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth. Thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide. Strength for today, a bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine and 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
Mark 1, 4-11. John the Baptizer appeared in the wild, preaching a baptism of life change that leads to forgiveness of sins. People thronged to him from Judea and Jerusalem, and as they confessed their sins, were baptized by him in the Jordan River into a changed life. John wore a camel hair habit tied at the waist with a leather belt. He ate locusts and wild field honey. As he preached, he said, "The real action comes next. The star in this drama, to whom I'm mere stagehand, will change your life. I'm baptizing you here in the river, turning your old life in for a kingdom life." His baptism, a holy baptism by the Holy Spirit, will change you from the inside out. At this time, Jesus came from the Nazareth in Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan. The moment he came out of the water, he saw the sky split open and God's Spirit, looking like a dove, come down on him. Along with the Spirit, a voice said, "You are my Son, chosen and marked by my love, pride of my life."
When I was completing my training and preparation for ministry, I felt absolutely open to where God would have me serve. And so I well remember a prayer that went something like this: Lord, I'll go anywhere you would have me go. I'll serve anywhere you would have me serve, as long as it's in Glasgow. Well, I was from Glasgow, of course, and it seemed natural enough to me that I would minister there. But we all come to learn at one point or another that when it comes to offering ourselves in service to the Almighty, we don't get to put down conditions. Rather, if we're going to say, I'm ready to serve, then we leave the rest to God. Well, maybe I had to learn that lesson. Or maybe God has a wry sense of humour. Either way, I find myself serving in a very different place and called to the east coast of Scotland and to the lovely county of Angus and the town of Arbroath. Not even nearly Glasgow. Well, despite the surprise, we've never been disappointed about coming to the east coast and to the beautiful county of Angus. It really does have everything. Stunning coastline, wonderful mountains and glens, and lovely villages and towns. And of course, for us, Arbroath has been at the heart of that. You know, when the sun's shining, it really is as nice as anywhere. The old harbour turned into a marina now. It's a beautiful spot to spend some time. I have to say, before coming here, I didn't know much at all about Arbroath, other than, of course, that it had a famous abbey, that its football team holds the world record for the highest ever score, and that it is famous for the smoky, the Arbroath smoky. But most of all, it's the folk we've come to love, and not least the folks of the fishing community. Of course, there's not so much fishing goes on here nowadays, but living by the sea, you really can't escape its history and tradition. And I think the interesting thing is this, that in getting to know fishing folk, I think it's helped me to understand more those first followers of Jesus, who were, of course, themselves fishermen on the Sea of Galilee. And it's Mark's Gospel that tells us of their calling, that Jesus came to them, Simon, Andrew, James and John, and asked them to leave their nets and to follow him, that they might learn to fish for people. And doesn't it remain the calling of us, the followers of Jesus today, to be fishers of people, to speak of Jesus and his kingdom, and to reach out with that net of God's love? I wonder if any of you have seen the new Disney Pixar animation Soul. The action focuses on one particular character known simply as 22. 22 has lost all sense of who she is. No passion for life, no spark, as it's put, and without any sense of what her purpose is. I wonder if there's a sense in which the church might have lost something of its sense of purpose. Certainly those first disciples, those fishermen, knew absolutely that they were there to make known the name of Jesus. That was their passion. But even before those first disciples, there was one whose very existence was defined by that purpose to make Christ known. John the Baptist, of whom we read this morning, established himself at the Jordan River, and there he called people to prepare themselves by a baptism of repentance to ready themselves for the one who was to come. And of the one, John said this: "The one who is more powerful than I is coming after me. I am not worthy to stoop down and untie the thong of his sandals." And as we find it in the Gospel of John at the end of the 3rd chapter, we have this from John: "I must become less. Christ must become more." John knew that his purpose was to point to Christ. Of course, a lesser person might have struggled with that. The evidence makes clear that John had become popular. Many people came to him at the river. Many people became his followers. And yet he pointed them to Jesus. Friends, this account of the ministry of John the Baptist in pointing others to Jesus is so right for us now, as is the account of those first fishermen, those first disciples, those first followers of Jesus. Here at the start of a new year, might it be that we can recommit ourselves to this whole business of pointing towards Jesus, of sharing the love of Jesus, of encouraging others to become followers of Jesus. See, it's not about us. Always, it's about Jesus. If the church becomes so concerned with its own survival, with its own life, that it loses sight of that, then it loses the right to be called the church at all. We exist to point towards Jesus, just as John the Baptist so long ago. Let that be true in this new year and in all that will follow. We point to Jesus.
Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Christ the Lord. Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. God of God, light of light, lo, he abhors not the virgin's womb. Very God begotten, not created. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Hail, Lord, we greet thee, born this happy morning. Jesus, to thee be the glory given. Word of the Father, now in flesh appearing. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
And now, go in peace, and may the blessing of God Almighty, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit be with you all and remain with you now and forevermore. Amen.